It's my pleasure to introduce tonight's guest speaker, Mr. Randy MacMillan. Randy MacMillan is President and CEO of Scotia Investments Limited, a Bedford-based organization with roots dating back to 1927 and the legacy of founder R.A. Jodrey. Today he leads a diverse family of companies spanning manufacturing, energy, environmental, and health sectors with operations across North America. Under Randy's leadership, Scotia Investments is guided by a strong commitment to safety, sustainability, and long-term stewardship, ensuring that business decisions support both environmental responsibilities and future generations. Scotia Investments also prioritizes strong, healthy communities, reflecting a dedication not only to business success, but to the people and places it serves. Please join me in welcoming Randy MacMillan.
So we're going to test whether I need to wear my glasses or not. I think it's far enough away. So look, it's a pleasure to be here today, and it's a wonderful introduction. Normally when I go to anything, people ask me how it is working for the bank. And I think I got that tonight from childhood acquaintance from back in my Truro days. We're not the bank. We're a manufacturing entity, and I'll get into that a little bit later in my short notes. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We're not here about a hospital or a university or a kid's soccer team or anything that you can see, touch, and feel that's really tangible. That's not what tonight's about. Tonight's different. The concept tonight is very foundational. You know, tonight is about something that underpins just about every other cause that we celebrate and support. Tonight's about literacy. Now, as I did my research, you know, the stat is that 50% of the population struggle with literacy. I asked myself, why is the profile of that so low? Where are the news headlines? Where's the outcry? And it dawns on me, there's probably a couple natural reasons why it's not talked about the way it should be for such a foundational skill. One is, and I'm looking across this room, I'm sure there's many in this venue, outside this venue, that don't give literacy a second thought. It comes naturally for you. And then, we could say roughly half the crowd, because that's what the stats would tell us. The other half probably don't want to talk about it either, because they're silent about the issue for various reasons. So this is a foundational thing in our world. We have half that don't think about it and half that don't want to talk about it. We need to change that. We need to change that going forward, in my mind. We need some headlines. The impacts are far-ranging, and I'll get into these. I'll just hit some highlights here, but from a society point of view, there's a clear correlation between productivity and literacy. The higher the literacy levels, the higher the productivity of the general population. What I was asked to talk about today, and I'm going to go off script many times, sorry about that, Trish. You didn't know what you were getting into. From a business point of view, it's fundamental and core. It affects things like safety, quality, efficiency. But then you take it down to the individual level, down to the human being in that 50% that struggles with literacy. And it has to affect quality of life on so many levels. I'm honored to be here tonight to speak to this. Now, I'm a business major, chartered accountant. I have a minor in history. I have a minor in economics. So you're going to have to suffer through some of those minors here tonight in my comments. From a historic point of view, on a macro basis, What was the greatest invention of humankind?
Printing press.
Printing press? That's a great one. Any other guesses?
The wheel?
The wheel? I've got the wheel on my list. Do you read my notes? That's pretty good. The wheel was a great one.
Electricity?
Cell phone? I don't agree with that. Cell phone's an awful invention. But electricity, you know, you look at the internet, arguably the internet, the steam engine. But the printing press came after what? Language. You can arguably say that the most important invention by humankind was the creation of language. Before we had language, before we could write things down, before we had letters, before we had numbers, all of our thoughts, all of our ideas were in one place, right up here in our mind. Now, the mind's a great thing, but the mind is flawed. We don't live forever. People would pass away, and what would happen with their knowledge when they pass away? It's gone. Everybody's played the game where you tell a story at one end of the room and you whisper it in ears, and it goes around the room. And how much of that story makes it to the last person in the room? Very little. So when you think about what lets us build as humankind, the advent of language and writing language down is a game changer. Literacy is a game changer. Because it is the first time in society that ideas can be transmitted in good form, in perfect form actually, written form, from one generation to the next. Why is that important? Why is that important? It's critical. Because we know, as we build, we'll tend to make the same mistakes over and over again unless we have good written record on the past. We have to learn from our history. I love history. That's why I have a minor in history. And without understanding our history and what's happened, whether it's at work or whatever else may be, we're doomed to repeat it. We're doomed not to learn from it. So we're able to store things no longer just in the brain. We're able to store it on tablets, not the tablets we have today, but stone tablets, paper. I think paper was another amazing breakthrough. And we could retain it, and most importantly, we could build on it. So where does that leave us? That's the foundation for science. The laws we have, written laws. Trade is intimately tied to literacy. Math. All of the foundational things that have helped grow countries, cities, states. Without literacy, without written language, we would have no government. Thought I'd get a cheer there, but I guess we have some government lovers. We'd have no hospitals, we'd have no universities, we'd have no businesses. Simply put, we wouldn't be able to scale anything. Without the written language, without literacy, we would be doomed to smaller clusters, smaller anthills, because everything's word of mouth. Generational advancement was possible because of literacy and the written language. So we'll get out of the macro and the historic. We'll talk a little bit about today. Who here has a phone? Raise your hand if you have a phone. How many of you are looking at it right now? So we all have a phone. What do we use the phone for? Anybody use it for actual telephone calls?
Yes.
Put your hand up if you use it for a telephone call. I am shocked you're all lying. You have to. My kids don't. There's some young people in this room. But we use it for email, text, social media. That's how we garner our news. All of those things. All of that is written. All of that requires literacy. You go to the workplace today. What do you see in the workplace? There's computers, there's reports. You go on the work floor, there's machinery with controls, calibrations, there's data, there's employee surveys, there's orders coming in, there's sales going out. It's all written data. When you're at home, you want to apply for a job, you have to use written data. You want to help your child with homework, you probably have to read what they're doing to do it. And then there's, little things like reading medications. That can't be that important, but it seems to be something we ought to be able to do. Now more than ever, literacy is important. The advancements that have been made from a technological point of view, and it goes beyond just words. Numerical literacy is probably more important than it ever has been as well. So not only is the history important in today's world, what I described earlier and why I'm missing the newspaper stories is it's more important today. There should be more hue and cry about it. If you are struggling with literacy, do you feel shut out? You might. You might feel limited. You might feel that you have an unlevel playing field. You might feel disadvantaged, and I couldn't fault anybody for that. Because it fundamentally will have an impact on your confidence, your ability to engage, and then ultimately, your ability to control your future to a point. Because we have some very brave souls in this room that took that challenge and conquered that challenge. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now to the main event while I was here. Finally got to it. So I'm here kind of as the voice of business and talking about how literacy impacts business. Our company is about 1,500 employees. We have half of them in Nova Scotia, about 700, 750, largely in rural areas, but some in urban areas. 7 companies, 2 countries. We're in the US, spread across Canada. And we manufacture Royal Chinette, shameless plug, only tableware made in Canada. Please buy Royal Chinette. Anything else is from offshore. But we make boxes, we do recycling. We're a very green, circular, we try to be very green and circular company. We have some hydropower, have a lot of trees, about 35,000 acres. Literacy impacts business. Literacy impacts our business. When I walk around the plant floor, we talk about analytics, we visualize and implement automation, controls, computers. Most of the machinery we have computers attached to them to help control them. There's barcodes, there's AI. None of this can be handled without having a high literacy level. And it's not just the back office. It's not the accountants. It's not HR. It's people on the plant floor. Everybody on the plant floor. Because there's nothing there that is just driven by symbols. You need a level of literacy. We have safety. There's standard operating procedures. There's safety protocols. There's first aid. These are all written instructions. Training. There is some visual training, lots of on-the-job training, but a lot of the training manuals require a decent literacy level. It impacts quality. If a person is there on the line, quality is job one, right after safety, of course. But without quality product and understanding what a quality product means, being educated on what quality means for our products, we will lose customers. Price, that won't often get you kicked out, but you need quality. Literacy impacts that. Because often our quality specs are written, and they look like a page like that. That's what we get from our customers. You know, efficiency is greatly impacted as well. Those standard operating procedures are there for a reason. You want to do the same thing repeatedly. It's good for quality, but it's also good for efficiency. We do a lot of cross-training. That's another sign of efficiency. So picture if you are cross-trained on several jobs in the plant and you get called back to one that you haven't done in 6 months. Very convenient to be able to go to the standard operating procedures and refresh. That's not easy for everybody. And then there's the legal aspects, compliance, oversight. All of these things are keyed on your workforce and the quality of their skill set. So what does that mean? These are all seem like small things, small individual things. But what does it mean in the aggregate for businesses? Well, first off, engagement is highly important. We measure our engagement every year because an engaged employee is a safe employee that's contributing, employee that wants to be there, will help with our quality. So when you have someone that is struggling with some of the ideals and some of the literacy issues that they may face at our workplace, how does that manifest itself, or how could it manifest itself? Not in every case. But they might be a little resistant to change, because change might come at a slower pace for them. They might be a little bit slower on the uptake. And through no fault of effort or ideas or what they want to be, it's how we're delivering it. You know, I'll give you a really good example that opened my eyes to this when I first got with this company 6.5 years ago. We ran a survey of our employees, and we had 20 questions. We're better at it now. The questions were interesting, but we had 20 questions. That's not what's important here. But there was 110 pages of comments. 110 pages. And at the time, we only had 1,000 employees. So I took the time to read 110 pages of comments because I think feedback is a blessing. And I think the people took the time to answer our questions and provide us their direct comments. I can show them the dignity of reading them. I actually read them 3 times. Now, it's not important what they were telling me for this audience, but I have to ask myself 2 questions after reading them. The first question is, we got about a 70% response rate. That other 30%, did they not respond because of limitations, literacy of limitations? That's the first thing that struck me, especially preparing for this. The second thing that struck me is that it was very evident that we have a literacy problem in our company. Some people would write a page like this, very articulate, they're very comfortable with the written language. Others, you could see they struggled. We need to be better. And we did get better. Because after we had a couple of survey runs, we started doing different things. That didn't necessarily mean you had to write. We started doing stay interviews, which are direct one-on-ones, which I think is a much easier way to capture that same feedback. The point being, though, is we run those surveys for engagement. Engagement's important, and it's hard for people to engage if they feel they're being left behind. So why is engagement important? Engagement leads to productivity. You know, I'm the CEO of the company. I definitely don't have even 1% of the ideas that we need to run that company, but the people on the floor do. And hearing their voices And having them come with ideas, bring things forward is very important. They only do that if they're engaged, and we have to engage them the right way for their skill set. So if we have low engagement, we have low productivity. If you have low productivity, I'll go back to my macro example. If you have low productivity, you have low growth. And in the world that we live in, with competitors in the US, competitors in China, India, Europe, Africa, the productivity problem in Canada is acute. So as I'm preparing for talking tonight, I think we don't have any headlines. Productivity is definitely tied to literacy, and we are sitting here as 59 out of 60 in terms of productivity between states and provinces. Why do we not tackle the problem head on? The solution, or part of the solution, seems very straightforward to me. For a business, it's critical, and I'm going to challenge businesses a little bit later. But literacy means a lot, clearly, for us. So I took some time, and there's a booklet that Trish shared with me. Wow, it had powerful stories in it. I read that 3 times. The stories, the journeys were incredible. There was Dale from Western Halifax. He was a refrigeration plant worker and a writer now. You had Selena, if I'm getting the names wrong, that's my weakness. From Burridge, a mental health support worker. Rachel from Antigonish, she's chasing nursing. Mandy from Digby, she worked on a lot of financial literacy. I could list the whole book because it's that inspiring, but I think there's copies around. If you haven't read it, spend the time. It will not be lost on you how important literacy is for those individuals, and undoubtedly many like them. The confidence that came out of their writing and their improved literacy, the doors that it opened for them, it's astonishing. A lot of people in this room, and perhaps myself included, a lot of things have come easy on certain things. Reading for me wasn't a thing. But I know not everything's easy for everybody. And reading, literacy, writing wasn't easy for them. And I'm astonished at their courage. I'm astonished at their stamina for it. I mean, some of these stories go on for years, not even decades. I think that's tremendous. But the impact they had on their lives and the people around them, that's why they did it. They had the best reason. It's for those people that they loved. Congratulations. I'd like to do a round of applause for those presents that went on that day. Now, I'd be remiss to say that after reading it, I wasn't humbled to be here tonight. And it did inspire me to make sure I could do the best I could do here in front of this crowd. So I'm going to try to have a good closing. Thank God you all had dessert. So there's good news. There's great news. The solutions are known. They are known. We have excellent leadership from Literacy Nova Scotia. Round of applause for them. And their network of adult educators across this province. Hear to them. Now, I was blessed to have 2 excellent educators in my life. My mother, Maura, she taught elementary school. She taught me, worst year of her life. She teach you, Heather? Taught Heather back there. She was a great teacher, phenomenal teacher. I think her best subject was math, which in my world is a language unto itself. And I was further blessed to find my partner. Now she's not going to like this. But my wife, Cindy, is also an educator, recently retired. And she is probably the only one I know that would stand up to the quality of education delivered that my mother delivered. And that's truer words are never spoken on that. So I know how difficult it is to be a teacher vicariously through my wife, Cindy, and not so vicariously through my mother. She was quite pointed about it. But it is an underappreciated skill set. And I think teaching adults, I took a whirl at this once. I taught a payroll class for 6 weeks. They didn't invite me back. That's not why I'm here tonight, clearly. But I think it is a skill set that we need to value more, particularly if we're trying to tackle a literacy issue. So when you see an educator, shake their hand. When you see an adult educator, shake it twice. It will do the world good to recognize them for their art. So there is hope. They're doing their part. People are coming forward, having the courage to come forward to do their part. That's no lack of effort. But we have to do our part. And when I say we, it's the business we, it's the people in the crowd. It's everybody that I'll talk to going forward. You know, the first thing we have to do is understand there's a problem. Because a problem known is a problem half solved. I think we need to get the message out louder than it is. Because there's no shame in it. We need to fix this for our collective selves, not just for individuals. We need to do more collaboration. When I think about our workforce, we clearly have people that need this assistance. They could be immigrants. They may be left education early in rural Nova Scotia. Business needs to step up and collaborate more with literacy professionals, Nova Scotia Literacy Organization. We can be better. And it is in our better interests, or best interests as companies to do that. I'm going to promote that going forward. Not just within my company, but within my circles as well. But here tonight, at a fundraiser, how we can all help is help raise some funds. That's why we're here, after all. So I think it's incumbent upon us, not just to take the message away, but do what we can to help generate the financial wherewithal, as the government's helping and others are helping, to expand the program so we can hit more students, more adult learners, have more impact on everyday lives. It will be good for Nova Scotia as we expand. It'll be good for business as we expand. It will be life-altering for those adult learners. Life-altering. So I stand up here today, and on behalf of the Scotia family of companies, our shareholders, our board of directors, and our employee group, I brought a check to help with the cause tonight. I'd ask Trish to come up and accept it, please. Because I'm serious and sincere. I'm not that good looking.
That's your wife is here.
Oh, I know. I am sincere with what I say tonight. I've learned a lot since we talked a while ago. And I think this is an issue we all need to take on, and a little bit of help there. I hope it will continue to help. You have my promise on that. And we all need to step up. It's time to do it. I know we can count on everybody in the room. Thanks everybody for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the night.
So if you know me well, you know that I will get emotional, so just be prepared, because there's a whole lot of emotion coming out of this your way tonight. I'm at a loss for words because that was amazing. And Randy and I had some great conversations this winter, and I was so glad that, you read the stuff that I sent, and as someone who did teach adults, and it was quite possibly the best teaching experience I've had in my 30 plus years of teaching. So I appreciate that you get it and you made the connection, and we're so appreciative of your support. And I have a little something for you. Well, it's from Literacy Nova Scotia. But yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I'll turn it over to the less emotional Cindy. And are we still doing the 50-50
Definitely.
motoring? Okay, so
Yeah.
you and Melissa will move around?
Yes, we can absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Randy. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your time, your experiences, your words of wisdom, and your passion. Your passion for adult literacy is obvious, and thank you for bringing the word forward and continuing to do so. And that's exactly what we have to do. We stand here in a room full of supporters, educators, adult learners, families, and friends. We're preaching to the choir. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, a couple people recognize that one, is to go tonight, tomorrow, when you're walking the dog, you're at the gym, you're at the office, tell 3 people about what you learned tonight about adult literacy in Nova Scotia, the need to spread the word. It was shocking to hear Randy say that half of the people don't know it's a problem, and the other half don't want to talk about it. And therein lies a big problem. So we have to get the word out, and there are ways to do that with our little phones that everybody has now. So spread the word, talk to people, and let them know the good work that's being done by these amazing people that are helping the adult learners every day in our beautiful province. So thanks again, Randy, that was beautiful. And that segues quite nicely into one of the highlights of the evening every year. It's recognizing the achievements of adult learners here in our province. I'd like to welcome Dustin O'Leary, Manager of Business Development at St. Barbara, to present the Adult Learner Achievement Award to Phillip Pineo from Dartmouth Learning Network.
Thank you everyone for having us here tonight. I do want to say on behalf of St. Barbara that it is a real pleasure to be here, and a huge thanks to the team at Literacy Nova Scotia, to the educators and to the learners. It's a tremendous association we're proud to support. And I want to introduce you to one of the learners tonight, so to Phillip Pineo. So Phillip has distinguished himself through his persistence, his growth, and positive impact on those around him. Since joining Dartmouth Learning, he has consistently shown up on time and demonstrated a strong commitment to his learning. Early on, Phillip lacked confidence in his reading abilities and often avoided participating in activities that required reading aloud. Over time, however, he has made remarkable progress. He now eagerly volunteers to read in class and actively engages in discussions, showing a significant boost in both skill and confidence. Academically, Phillip has made substantial gains, particularly in math and in digital skills. He has progressed from needing regular support to working independently, effectively using digital tools, online research, and focused strategies to enhance his learning. He also shows a genuine curiosity and enthusiasm for learning, which I say sitting next to him, I've seen tonight. But he takes initiative to look up meanings of words, and often shares how much he enjoys learning about language, culture, and history. Despite facing challenges in his life, Phillip maintains a positive attitude that is both inspiring to his teachers and motivating to his peers. Beyond his academic achievements, Phillip sets himself apart through his kindness, empathy, and sense of humor. He interacts positively with his peers, offers support when others need help, and creates a welcoming environment for new learners. Phillip's dedication, growth, resilience, and contributions to the classroom community make him an outstanding student and highly deserving of this recognition. So with that, I will welcome up an eager Phillip Pineo.
I'm just going to read something that I wrote. It might take a while, so hopefully you got your drink there. My name is Phillip Pineo. I'm from a small town called Canning, Nova Scotia. When I was young, getting an education didn't seem all that important to me, and I found it difficult to keep up. So when I was 16, at grade 8, I dropped out of school. Yet, at the beginning, it wasn't difficult for me to find work, but as the years went by, it became harder and harder to get a job with the education that I had. That is why I decided to go back to school. It's the best decision I have ever made, even though it's taken longer than I expected. My main challenge is realizing it's worth it and seeing it through. My main goal is to get grade 12 for now and see what happens after that. My life has changed a lot since I returned to school. I feel I have purpose and found some great teachers who are patient and like to teach. Words can't explain the new skills and the amount of learning I've gotten out of going back to school. My reading, writing, my math, and especially my computer skills, which I started with 0 computer skills to begin with, and now I am more than comfortable. I still have a ways to go. I feel the worst is over. I realize I really wouldn't be here without the teachers at the Dartmouth Learning Network and the patience and taking me where I am and starting me from where I left off at school. I will always be grateful for everything they have done and continue to do to support my education. My upbringing wasn't the greatest, but I'm not using it as an excuse. But without realizing it at the time, it did affect my education. My parents did the best they could at the time. But I fell behind because I was a slow reader, and when I fell behind, I felt it was impossible to catch up. That's how it was when I went to school. Either you kept up or you fell behind. I don't think it's anyone's fault, it's just the system. Now that I think about it, I wouldn't have it any other way. It led me here, and everything happens for a reason. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
For the award.
Thank you so much for all you do.